Boom, we are alive, ladies and gentlemen. Got an interesting guest for you today, Fred Antunes of the Fever blockchain. Now, Fred, I want to just dive right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the project that you're working on today.
Yeah, first of all, nice to meet you all. Thank you very much. It's great for being here today. My name is Fred Antunes. I'm the CEO of RealFevr. And regarding to my background, I've been in the last 10 years always involved in technological projects, especially in blockchain. I'm really almost one really early adopter because I used to play World of Warcraft and we used to mine Bitcoin to trade it for gold in World of Warcraft. That's why and how I came into the blockchain and crypto world. And since 5 years ago, in 2015, we started RealFevr, and here we are.
Awesome. So, you're the founder of this new project. NFTs are a little bit out of our circle of competence, but do you want to tell us about what it's like where you're trying to take Real Fever, what's the purpose behind it, and where you plan on going over the next few months?
Yeah, of course. One of the things that I think makes RealFevr different from most of the other crypto projects is that RealFevr exists since 2015, and our main core business at the start, at the beginning in 2015, was not crypto, was fantasy leagues. So we started with the business of fantasy leagues in football. We today we cover around 12 different competitions, including English Premier League, French League, Italian League, Euro 2020, for example. And we reach in these 5 years 1.2 million users in our platform. So we have mobile apps in Play Store, Google Play. We have already a working product with a lot of people playing. With the global distribution, I would say lots of communities created all around the globe. And in the middle of last year, we identified that NFTs could be one of the best possible ways to grow the company and to take it to the next level. So we started to negotiate a lot of video rights because we are all very big fans of NBA Top Shot, of course, and CryptoKitties also. So we secured a few very important moments of the football history, and after that, and just after that, after we secured that rights, then we moved to develop the technology and deploy our NFT product. So I'm not really focused in pictures. I'm just focused in videos because I do believe for 2021, 2022, and the years beyond, video will have even a bigger role that already has today in internet.
So you want to take us back a little bit of Real Fever's growth through its primary years to today before the NFTs?
Yeah, fantasy leagues. So we
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, explain that stuff. Like someone like me, for instance, my fantasies do not involve football.
okay. Fantasy league is a very simple business, yeah, and a very simple game. Basically, it is a football manager based in real data. So instead of when you play, for example, a traditional football manager, it is 100% emulated, and the players and the points of that players and the goals and the statistics are virtual. When you play a fantasy league, it is a football manager but based in real statistics. So you choose your team, and what happens in reality in the field, will reflect in points in the game. And of course, those who choose the best players with the best performance will be the winners.
Okay, so yeah, again, for someone who's kind of a layman to both sports and or fantasy leagues, what does the platform look like prior to NFTs? Like, yeah, that's kind of what I'm interested in, like the early days and the growth of the company.
When we started the fantasy leagues, we started just with a web environment. And as I said, today we have a cross-platform available to everybody with mobile applications and web environment also. You can try out in fantasy.realfever.com, or you just can type in your mobile Real Fever and try out our app.
Once I'm on the app, what would it look like? How is revenue being generated? How are users engaged to continue to stick around on the platform? What are the incentive models that are there?
Yeah, it's a very good question. First of all, when you enter in the application, you will have to choose the competition that you want to play. So let's say that we you choose Euro 2020, for example. Then you are prompt to choose your best 15 players from Euro 2020. You choose between two goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, and attackers, the ones that you think that will have the best performance. You save the team and you wait for the moment that the game happens. When the game happens, we collect the statistics, we produce the fantasy points, and those who have more points will be the winner, round after round after round. In terms of revenue streams, we have, I would say, in terms of fantasy leagues, the main two revenue streams. The first one is the premium. So if you want to pay the premium subscription, you can upgrade your status in the game. First of all, because you can remove advertising from the application, so your game flow will improve a lot. And second one, because the player status about the ones, for example, who have a red card or they are injured or they have COVID, that are live status that we provide to our premium users inside the platform. Besides that, we have the advertising, and that's how we make money. With this new project with the Fever token and everything, what we are implementing are the token leaks. So one of the major revenue streams regarding the fantasy sports business are the money leaks. However, money leaks are over-regulated all over the world, and especially because they have specific regulations country by country. So with the token leaks, we simplify the access to this wagering approach where the users can play against each other and challenge each other, not with real money, but with the Fever token.
And so part of my interest here then is, are these is it like betting? Are you betting on your team to some degree at that point as well?
Yeah, it's slightly different from betting, because betting, basically you bet against a house, right? So you don't play against each other, human versus human. Basically, you play human versus the betting house. In this situation with the wagering, what happens is that you create a league with your friends, let's say 10 friends, 8 friends, 20 friends, and it works more or less, not exactly the same, but for everybody to understand, it works more or less like a poker table. So people goes to the table, they put, let's say, 100 fever tokens or whatsoever, and the winner takes all. And of course, RealFevr takes a small commission for the service providing.
Are there any regulations or hurdles that you guys have to overcome to be able to play in this industry, or is there?
Not yet. So regulators are still yet to discover the multiple utilities to a token. And what we really wanted with Fever Token was to guarantee that it is really a utility and not a security at all. So people will play for fun. People will play, to enjoy their fun engagement approach in football, and they challenge each other, in micro communities that they can develop inside the application.
So secondarily then to the Fever token inside of the app for revenue or discounts, etc., the you guys are offering NFTs of some of these early video sequences. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. Well, one of the challenges that we had when we started to evaluate this NFTs approach was really, where is the real intrinsic value of a non-fungible token? And in my perspective and my personal opinion, one thing is when you issue a non-fungible token about, you know, a jersey of a football player or a jersey of a club or a cap or shoes or whatsoever. Another thing is when you have the opportunity to convert an athlete in an artist, and their movements in the field in their paintings. So for us, since the very first moment, it was always, since the very first moment, very crystal clear that we would not explore assets outside the gaming field. So our assets, what we secured and what we have today, are the video moments of the games. And we have defenses. We have great goals, great assists, great tackles. So we do believe that the intrinsic value is really the games, and all the other things are, just collateral assets. That the real value is really the games itself.
So do the NFTs offer any pluses to the participants in the game itself as well?
Yeah, absolutely. That is part of our roadmap. So another thing that we do believe that will make the difference for our competitors and for the industry development will be non-fungible tokens are very important, and their intrinsic value is great. But if the NFT itself has an utility, it becomes even more valuable. So the way that we will generate more value to our NFTs is really to give them a real utility. And how? Because they will have a role very similar, for example, to Magic the Gathering. So Magic the Gathering, you can play with the cards. Of course, cards have value, but they have value because you can use them, to play. So basically, our idea and our roadmap is to completely gamify the NFTs and integrate them with the fantasy. So those who will have, the best NFTs, of course, will have some kind of power ups and boosts inside the game. And as a consequence, very important to say, is that when the NFT has a utility, we are also stimulating the trading volume, because people will need to trade them out to have their best collections and to define the best possible strategy to win the fantasy.
So are the fantasy games a replication of, because again, this is a new subject to me just from the fantasy
Mhm.
game stuff. Are they replications of the real world games, or are they games that are run inside of the database of the teams that are being built?
Now, yeah, they are really representation of real world games. So if let's say Cristiano Ronaldo scores an hat trick, if you have Cristiano Ronaldo in your team, you will have much more points than if Ciro Immobile scores just one goal. So the players that you choose um, in your game, for example, if you have a defender, one goal of one defender gets more points than one goal from one attacker, because attackers by default they will score more goals. And also you have to choose your captain, and your captain always makes double points, for example, and this defines basically your strategy. So you have to choose defenders, midfielders, and attackers, and those who perform better will have an immediate impact in your game.
Okay, interesting. So do you want to tell us a little bit about some of the NFTs and products you guys when you're planning to launch, and what people can look forward to?
Yes, of course. One of the challenges that we faced out when we started this project was um, I did not want to put the community waiting a lot after the deployment of the token for a real working product. So we did basically the opposite, because we already had liquidity, because we already had, um, an implemented business in the company, because we already have 35 people working here. Um, we did the opposite of the traditional crypto people. So what we did was we started to develop the product. We have today the product already working. So next Thursday we deploy the token, and next week you will be able to access to the product, to the packages and the marketplace. And how does it work? Very simple. We will issue different packages, in fact, three different classes of packages. So the basics, the rares, and the super rares. You will be able to buy them with Fever token. Then you open it, and the NFTs will pop out. And let's see if you are lucky enough, uh, because there will be 5 different classes of NFTs. So the commons, the specials, the epics, the legendaries, and the unique. Important to say that the unique is one of one, no more reproductions of that one. And if you are lucky enough, you will get a legendary or a unique one.
And so one of the things that we've seen for the downfalls of NFT platforms is on and off ramp understanding. Generally the community of people that's interested in football, or I guess just to be clear, soccer for the Americans out there, don't always have a great understanding of how to use the Ethereum blockchain or a blockchain in general. They're confused about why gas fees are changing. Do you guys have an on ramp for fiat that allows people to participate using their regular credit cards as well?
That's a marvelous question, and probably the one that I spend more time during my working days. Because, um, well, let's start with the problem. The problem is that only maximum 2% of the global population has access to crypto or owns wherever crypto assets today in the world, right? So there is the other 98% that they never bought anything, they don't know how to do it, and the onboard process, the customer journey, um, sometimes is really really complicated. In a project like ours, of course, the first thing that we thought was, okay, we need to have a credit card and give direct access to the people, in the most simple way that they can buy something, which is with a credit card with fiat currency or dollars or euros or any other one. However, once again, we had to make, a decision between, okay, we give the best possible customer journey experience, or we go to market as fast as possible. And our decision was, I want to go to market as fast as possible. So credit card will be available until the end of the year, but that this first minimum viable product that we are deploying next week, people will not have direct access with to buy packages or NFTs or Fever token directly with credit card. What we tried to do was to have a lot of explanation videos about how people can go, to Binance, for example, register, buy BNB, trade BNB for Fever token in PancakeSwap, and then move forward. Also, we are about to close a deal with 3 different exchanges, one of them a very good one, and through the exchanges, they will access to the Fever token quite easier. But until the end of the year, of course, I want to solve out this problem. Uh, but in terms of technological development, as you know, it's not possible to develop everything at the same time, and we have to make decisions to be fast. So in RealFevr, the way that I manage the company is that we always apply micro testing and micromanagement. So I prefer to always move forward and give new things to the community, small ones, than to wait like 1, 2, 3 years to give the best possible thing that in fact when it is deployed does not have that much interest. So yeah, that's the way that we started to do this. We don't have the best possible product, but we have already a working product.
Yeah, it's always a difficult line for the NFTs. We've seen that in a few different cases where the average person who may be interested in some of these collectibles knows absolutely zero about the crypto world itself. So I mean, it's a nice on road for the crypto ramp, but it definitely makes it generally more of a difficult on ramping process for those who may just be interested in owning the rights to some of these video complexes. Can you tell us a little bit about the content, the uniques that are out there? And is there already some type of general value based around that type of content? I mean, again, I know it's a really gray area. Like NFTs as a whole world of questions around the ownership of content that is we still haven't fully solidified. Like, where's the content hosted? What does the content management rights even mean to those who hold the NFTs? This is like a 3-part question, but
Okay. um, No, very good questions, of course, because it's very important to explain this to the people. One of our main slogans since the very first beginning of the project was NFTs backed by intellectual property. And what does this mean? I think by design, there are two types of different NFTs. The ones that are digitally natives and they don't have any kind of law or legislation or intellectual property. They are not representing something tangible in a material world, in a traditional world. They are completely digital, 100%. One of very simple example is the guy that designs a paint on Photoshop and goes to OpenSea and issues the NFT there. That is one of the use cases that I am speaking about. Then you have another type of NFTs, which is the one that we work with, which is intellectual property secured, by law, by legislation, signed by lawyers, and by a right holder that owns that intellectual property. So the videos, when we speak about football or when we speak about a movie, they belong to someone, right? So our business model is we negotiate with the right holders, they license us the possibility to issue the NFTs, and basically we represent that right holders to be a marketplace of official intellectual property licensed NFTs. That is our main concept. Regarding to the assets that we have more than 600 different football players, more than 10,000 different football moments, and of course, the question that everybody wants to hear me speaking about is what are the players that we have today? And I cannot disclose everything, but I can say that we have Cristiano Ronaldo, we have Messi, we have David Luiz, we have Hulk, we have Nani, we have Bruno Fernandes, and some other ones that are really on top of the world class football today in the world.
And where is the data for the images and video being stored? I know this is always another
Mhm.
complex issue, is that the NFT may exist with the rights to the digital data, but we've seen in the background sometimes the hosting for the content goes down. How is the hosting relative to the IP then at this point as well?
Yeah, that is also a fantastic question. One of the things that happens today in the NFT world, and most of the people sometimes they do not think about this, is that I would say 80% of the NFTs that are issued today, if they shut down the hosting, the NFTs will disappear, and only the metadata is in the blockchain. So it's very important to explain that one thing is the metadata, another thing is the video, the MP4 itself, right? So the blockchain only registers the metadata, saying that this in this link, this hyperlink belongs to you. This is what the blockchain does. Regarding your question, um, the first thing that we did was to move forward and implementing IPFS. So all our videos are based in the interplanetary file system. So it is a decentralized file storage, and we can guarantee to all the users who buy an NFT in our platform that it's impossible to at least delete forever something that belongs to you using IPFS. After that, the way that we issue the NFTs is that we give to everybody the possibility to mint them and to move them to whatever wallet they want. So it belongs to them. The only thing, based in terms and conditions, that we are going to implement is that to trade them and to render them to see what you have, you must do it through our marketplace in the same way that NBA Top Shot does, basically. So, based in our terms and conditions, our NFTs only can be traded inside our marketplace and not in any other. At least for this first moment. After that, we will evaluate, of course.
Here's kind of an abstract take on a similar type of question. Yeah, I mean, because in general, we, for the last, been in the blockchain sector for a bunch of years, and it was very clear, and still is very clear, that there's the potential for intellectual property to be stored on chain, and the rights and the payments of each of these particular IP, whether it's a patent or an art piece, etc. What happens if, say, I own the licensed particular NFT and BBC News goes to use that content? Do I have the contractual potential to, say, sue BBC for using the content without my
It is pure copyright infringement. So I think for everybody to understand how this work in terms of legislation, go back 15 years and grab one DVD. So in one DVD, the right holder issued the intellectual property to create the DVD, right? After that, you have the DVD at home. You can watch the movie as many times as you want because it is yours. However, it is forbidden to copy it, to distribute it to a third party, to represent it in a different format than that DVD only. So it works exactly in the same approach. You own the NFT, it belongs to you, but you cannot make copies, you cannot distribute illegally. So that is a matter of copyright infringement, and we already have a lot of legislation regarding to that.
Yes, I mean, to some degree, then it seems like the only boundary are the countries that allow you to do that stuff without any real without any real downside. We had tons of copyright ideas in place, but Costa Rica has been playing Hotel California here without ever owning the license to it, potentially for the last 2 decades.
I think illegal content there, it will be always present, right? For example, for the live broadcasters, those who have premium subscriptions in your cable TV or digital television, that is one of the biggest things that they fight every day. Is how do they fight against piracy and illegal live broadcast transmissions, right? So that is a business that is already running. I would say that to close 100% illegal copyrighted distribution in internet, you would have to shut down internet probably. But what we are creating is a new layer of how we can distribute intellectual property for those who want to buy them. And just to give you another example is that you can go to a Louis Vuitton store, the original one. You spend like $5,000. You buy the most beautiful bag to your girlfriend, and she will be very proud of it because it is the original one. However, you can go to whatever market or black market. You can buy a counterfeit Louis Vuitton bag. You offer to your girlfriend, but she will recognize that it is not the original one, right? So in terms of brands and in terms of what is the original and what is the counterfeit, I think people already have in their mind where the value is. Of course, there will be a lot of people that they prefer to buy the counterfeit ones because they think it's similar, but the feeling and the emotions connected to the real assets are 100% different from those who just create illegal content in the internet.
Yeah, my sentiment here was just more around the regulatory. I don't want to say capture, but the regulatory process around the data itself, because it's such a it's a process that you wouldn't even want to undertake just because the legal fees may.
That's exactly that's exactly the problem that the blockchain solves out, right? Because if you issue it and you mint it, that metadata in the blockchain, it's not possible to copy or reproduce it or whatever. So you can counterfeit, of course, in another platform, but that's not the original one, right? So there are thousands of different Bitcoins in the world, but just one Bitcoin is the original and the real one, right? So with the NFT, it's exactly the same. You know, you can fork Bitcoin as many times as you want, but that does not mean that you will have more Bitcoin than the original chain gives you in a wallet that you own that Bitcoin. So it works exactly the same way for the NFTs.
Yeah, so part of me imagines that the gamification process of this is the most likely. So you said you've got over a million users on the platform itself.
Mhm.
Um, what is what's the engagement of those users like? Again, I'm not in any way, shape, or form versed with fantasy football or soccer or any surfing or any of that kind of stuff. It
Okay.
is a new concept to me.
Let me just say one thing before I answer you. Fantasy sports is a $50 billion business in the United States of America only. NBA, basketball, NFL, NHL, baseball. You know, everybody uses fantasy. They are crazy about fantasy sports. And if people can search about DraftKings or FanDuel or eventually in India, Dream 11, you know, those are a few of the biggest billion-dollar companies that operated fantasy. Just for those who do not know that much about it. Regarding to our users, I would say that when you play a fantasy, your churn rate is slightly higher than the normal weekend, let's say, because most of the time there are no games during the week. And in football, most of the games they happen during the weekend. Of course, that's why we offer multiple competitions. So the user can play Champions on Tuesdays, the user can play Europa League on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and then they can play English Premier League, Portuguese League, Turkish League during the weekend. And also, of course, for example, at the moment we have Euro 2020 for the European audience, and we also have Copa America for the South Americans. So what we try to always keep our audience completely engaged is to give them the best possible competitions and to have them always engaged. But it's not that easy, I have to admit.
I should have actually given you a little bit of a heads up on this one because I try to get everyone to do this nowadays. If you would, could you screen share and kind of run us over? Do you have a like? Is there a way to kind of run the application and show everyone kind of the base end in front of us,
Uh,
other than on the
well,
phone?
I really cannot share my mobile device with you,
Yeah, yeah,
uh, but it's very easy. If you go to App Store and download the app, I can share. I can search for it just in a second. So you just go to Google Play. I use Android because I always defend open source software.
yeah.
Um, it's very critical, I know, but anyways, it is what I think.
I love Android too. Is my favorite.
Sounds great. And in fact, I am a really old member of XDA Developers Forum, so I always have a custom ROM in my Samsung. But yeah, if you go to to App Store, just search for RealFevr, and you can download the app, try out, register, and check. You know, do yourself the customer journey and the customer experience, and send us the feedback if you liked it or not. But of course, you must be a football fan. You must understand a bit of the football teams, because you will have to make your decisions as a home manager, right?
So is the first onboarding process for the average player the free process, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. The game is 100% free to play. If you don't have the paid subscription, the premium subscription, you will have a bit noisy ads, advertising, but it is how it works. There is no other way around.
And what's the monthly cost for the subscription on the app as well?
Well, in fact, the annual subscription it stays around 20 euros, $18. So it's not that expensive. But then you can have multiple upgrades and in fact, that is one of the challenges that we have was, okay, we have 1.2 million users. How do we make money with them? And what I really never wanted to do would be to destroy the user experience that 1.2 million people were having. So to do not interfere that much with that experience, we decided to move to crypto, give them new products instead of disturb their fantasy experience.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair enough. So if you want, just run us over the launch dates, how people can participate, and, any last calls to action here, I guess.
Yeah, of course. Well, next Thursday, 8th of July, there will be the IDO in Polka Starter. And in terms of whitelisting, I think it's mostly closed. Immediately in that day, the Fever token will be available at, at the beginning just in PancakeSwap through a liquidity pool. Um, and between 12 to 15, the first packages will be available in our website, realfevr.com, to be bought. So you can try your luck, or you can buy directly one of the super rares cards. I can tell you that there will be only 4,098 super rares packages, and no more than that. And after that, 2 days after, you will be able to open them and see what you got.
Well, fascinating, Fred. So it'll be fun for us to keep up. I'm not super well versed in a lot of the NFT sector, but our community is constantly asking us to take a look at stuff like this. I try to focus almost entirely on financial products because I understand them very clearly.
Yes,
But it's fun for me to kind of jump out of my comfort zone and take a look at new projects, especially as you grow and develop. As as you pointed out, I like to ask good questions. I'm fairly well versed in the sector. I've been here for a long time. I had a friend that bought a digital racing horse or something. I was always like, what the hell are you doing? Now it's a $50,000 digital racing horse. Now, again, there's always the subjectivity of around content and art and collector's pieces that, again, is a much longer conversation about the perception of value and the way that can be mutable depending on the person that would like to own this something or whatever. So it's a really interesting conversation today, Fred. So for any of you that have questions, realfevr.com. I think it's on Twitter as well. All the links will be down below. Give us a thumbs up if you like this content. Remember, none of this is financial advice. One of the things I think that's most interesting, and all of you will know my summation about this, is heads I win, tails I only lose a little. In any of these areas, you could be looking at asymmetric upside. So if you are always focused on limiting your downside, you can do generally quite well by playing this game. So keep that in mind. Not financial advice, but really interesting stuff, Fred. I think that as you grow, you've got an active user base, you've got a revenue generating business model already. There's a lot of things that the crypto community, as you said, don't actively engage with. First, a lot of them are trying to build products after they raise capital. It's not always the case, obviously, but it'll be really interesting to see how these more consumer front end facing product versions of crypto go, especially like you're about to get yourself into a community of people that may know nothing about crypto. I'm sure your team is going to be stacked with questions from people that know nothing about Binance or PancakeSwap. So that'll be an entertaining time for you, I'm sure. So we wish you the best of luck. And we'll see you again on the next, I guess, quarterly update here to see how you guys are doing. So thanks for joining us today, Fred.
absolutely. Thank you very much for your time. Great questions. Also, the community can follow us in our Telegram channel, which is very important too. And whatever questions they have, we have always our customer support team absolutely ready to provide daily updates, daily communication, and that I think is one of our most precious assets that RealFevr has, is that we exist, we deliver immediately updates. There will be always someone glad to help wherever difficult that one of our single customers can have. So that is one of our main goals as a company, is to have a huge customer satisfaction level, in terms of community and in terms of user experience, of course.
Awesome. Yeah. So all those links will be down below, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Fred. We'll speak again soon.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you all.